All right, we will go ahead and kick things off here, and we'll start with a little bit of a high-level overview of sort of how we're going to be running this webinar. To start, my name is Justin Bostic. I'm a marketing associate at Open Book Extracts, and I'll be sort of managing the logistics on the back end for all of you attending so that we can get to some of your questions and provide you guys with the resources for this webinar to be a success. Joining me today is Nicole Brown, the Chief Commercial Officer at Open Book Extracts, and Dan Force, the Director of Marketing and Innovation at Prinova USA. Just to give you guys a little bit of a high level for those of you tuning in, if you guys have any questions, we would really encourage you to drop them in the questions tab on your screen, and we will go ahead and surface those to our presenters there at the end. And this webinar will be recorded, and we will send you a follow-up with all sorts of great information, both the deck and also recording of this webinar. So we will go ahead and jump in here. Let's start by having a little bit of an introduction of our speakers. So Dan, would you give the viewer a little bit of information about your background, your time at Prinova, and some of your history in the ingredient space?
Sure, yeah, welcome everybody. Appreciate you logging in. Dan Force, Director of Marketing and Innovation at Prinova. I've been at Prinova just over 10 years, really focused on launching new products for the majority of that time. So picking up on the latest trends and the latest science that's out in the market and bringing it to market either via our distribution channel or through our product development channels that we'll talk about a little bit later. So obviously CBD caught our interest as a company, certainly mine personally, and very excited to talk about the industry trend and a little bit more about Prinova's offering today.
Awesome, thank you, Dan. And also joining us is Nicole Brown. Nicole, could you share a little bit of your time at Open Book Extracts and some of your history as well leading to this venture?
Thanks, Justin, and thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Nicole Brown. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for Open Book Extracts, responsible for all of our marketing, sales, and product development initiatives. My background is in the CPG space, having worked for brands such as LVMH and Shiseido in product development for beverages like vodka and champagne, and for beauty products like skincare and fragrances. And I've always been a passionate enthusiast of cannabis and cannabinoids and the potential that they hold. So I joined the Open Book Extracts team last year, really focused on bringing super efficacious and really delightful high quality products to market. And as part of our time together last year, was able to connect with Dan and his Prinova team to produce some really great ingredients together, which we're going to talk about later. So super excited to be here. Also, I am based in New York City, so if you hear like loud sirens going on when I'm talking, I will apologize for that right now, and I will mute when I'm not. But that's where I am.
Awesome, thank you so much, Nicole. And before we dive in, for all of those of you who are joining us at the moment, if you guys have any questions, please submit them as we go through this presentation. I'm personally going to shut off my video now and turn it over to our presenters.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us. We wanted to just start off and give you a little bit of background on our companies. So Open Book Extracts is a vertically integrated grower, processor, and manufacturer of CBD ingredients. So we are based in beautiful Roxborough, North Carolina. It's about 30 miles north of Raleigh-Durham, the Research Triangle there. In North Carolina and Virginia, Open Book has a network of about 20 farms where we grow our hemp, and then we harvest our products and bring them to our facility, also based in Roxborough, North Carolina, where we do all of our processes to make the base ingredients of the CBD industry, such as full spectrum distillate, broad spectrum distillate, and CBD isolate. We are a GMP certified facility. That stands for Good Manufacturing Practices. And we have a rigorous set of standards that have allowed us to earn that certification. Everything from really owning the chain of custody, from our genetics that we grow on our farms all the way through our protocols of testing, have allowed us to earn that very prestigious honor of being a GMP certified operation. And just to give you a little glimpse of what we have in North Carolina, here's one of the views from one of our rooms down in our facility. And again, kind of like noting here, we are certified both in food processing and nutraceuticals. And so we have, shared that with our teams here. And Dan, I'll let you talk about Prinova for a minute.
Sure. So wanted to throw this slide up for those of you who are not familiar with Prinova. I mean, first of all, we're obviously a larger company in the food ingredient space. Actually, last year we were acquired by the Nagase Group, which is a publicly traded company out of Japan. So I think two things from this slide in regards to our current topic. I mean, one being we do want to enter and represent the CBD space in a way that our customers are comfortable with and that our customers come to expect from a reputation. And being in the food ingredient industry for over 40 years. And the second is really our focus on product development. You can see our nutrient premix division, flavor division, aromas and contract manufacturing all are heavily based on product development. And one of our goals, and we'll talk about later, in developing in the CBD space was getting ingredients that are clean tasting and easy to work with, because we know how important that is. And then another big point, is quality. So we are a BRC AAA certified facility. We're also FDA certified, and this is our facility in Carroll Stream. There is a picture of one of our spray dryers, which is the manufacturing location for the CBD powder that we're going to be talking about a little bit later.
And just to establish a little bit about where we are in the industry right now and where we think and feel that we're going, you can kind of see this curve, and you've seen this in other sectors and industries, and in particular in like the technology sector, where you kind of see a ton of interest and inflated expectations around where things are going. And really with CBD, that regulatory trigger of the 2018 Farm Bill and 2014 Farm Bill before that really started this movement. And there's incredibly high expectations on the category and where it's going, and then things start to kind of come down and settle out. And that's really where we believe we are currently, and that we're building towards the kind of slope of enlightenment, where what is going to win in this CBD 3.0 and like what's going to truly define what's going to build the most successful brands and products. It is, developing the research and doing the innovation to allow the major CPG companies, customers of ours, customers of Prinova's, to really enter the space with confidence and to create the products that consumers are going to love. And that's what we've been really focused on at Open Book and working with Prinova, is how we can do that and how we can bring those products to market together with you. So, when it comes to understanding CBD and its purpose, it's really important to know how CBD works. And so this might be old information for some of you on this call. We're going to keep it brief and high level, and there's plenty more information on how CBD works over on Open Book's website. We actually just did a really great blog post recently on this topic, but wanted to allow us to have a nice foundation here of CBD and how it works. And so we'll just high level go into this for a minute. So the first thing to understand is the concept of homeostasis. So homeostasis refers to the regulation of conditions in the body, such as your body temperature, your blood sugar. And in order for the body to properly function, you need to remain within certain parameters, right? So we make the metaphor very often, you can think of Goldilocks. Everything in our bodies needs to be not too hot, not too cold, but just right. And so this means that everything in our bodies is super carefully monitored so that when something changes, we can correct it. And this is where the endocannabinoid system comes in. So what's the endocannabinoid system? Or people will call this the ECS. This is a network of endocannabinoid and cannabinoid receptors that exist throughout our bodies. It's thought that it exists in nearly all animals on Earth, and it's absolutely crucial to our survival. So you can see here kind of an outline of, these two primary receptors called the CB1 and the CB2 receptors. They're both found throughout our bodies. CB1 receptors tend to be more focused in our brain and central nervous system, and CB2 is more abundant in our immune system and our organs and our tissues, so that these receptors can respond to all these changes in our body and really help our bodies to regulate and to help us get to that steady state homeostasis that we are all hoping to achieve. And here's going a little bit deeper into the science and the chemistry behind the endocannabinoid system, just getting a deeper understanding of how these cannabinoids really, you can think of them like fitting together like a jigsaw puzzle or like a lock and key. So when you have any of these cannabinoids, they are binding to these receptors in our bodies and allowing for those homeostatic responses to come into play. And so what's the role of the endocannabinoid system in our bodies? We talk about, homeostasis. What does that really mean? It's really addressing a myriad of various systems in our bodies, everything from, our nervous systems, our endocrine systems, our cardiovascular systems, both physical and mental. It's really tied to so many different parts of our regulatory components. And there's lots of analogs you can think about, such as the microbiome, and how we really started to understand very deeply several years ago how our microbiome functions and our gut health, and how probiotics play a really strong role in helping to regulate your microbiome. Endocannabinoid system is very similar to that, and actually there is research being done now that the endocannabinoid system and the microbiome are actually connected to each other and actually serve as each other's kind of backup support system, almost a redundancy system. So it's a really, really important component of understanding the cannabinoid system is how important it is in our bodies and fundamental to understanding exactly what happens when you take a CBD product and what's going on in your body. So as you can see, what's going on in the existence of the ECS is incredibly supportive and encouraging for the CBD industry, and shows really why we are so enthusiastic about the positive impact that cannabinoids will have and do have on us. So now for a topic that Dan and I both love to talk about, which is CBD trends. And how do you identify, trends in categories? And this applies not just to CBD, where it's really important to know what's coming, but really in any product development initiative and products that, Prinova has made in the past, you really need to be able to almost predict the future and predict what's coming. And, how do you do that? What are the best ways to do that? So this recently, an article came out last week that, Dan and I both deeply appreciated. It just resonates so closely with our approaches to product development and innovation. It was an article interviewing the Chief Innovation Officer for Ocean Spray, and talking about, at all times, but particularly during COVID and in the wake of the pandemic, there are three very important changes that are going to take place and that are taking place with consumer products. And, he highlighted wellness, quality, and value that are going to be more important to consumers than ever before. What's really interesting here for us is that for Prinova and for Open Book, these have always been super important and at the core of our business and what we believe in, how we focus on health and wellness, and that how can you bring that to everyday consumers? How can you make it accessible and have high value? And of course, what do you do differently? Why is your product better? Why is it of higher quality than someone else's? People are asking that. We get asked that. Our customers at Open Book ask that to us every single day, and really being able to stand behind that quality. Dan, I know, you know, in your work, and you've been in the ingredient category for a long time and have, you know, the word innovation in your title. You know, how does this sound to you? Does this resonate with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, you know, this is representative of the day-to-day of a lot of us, you know, in product development, right? Is you know, we've seen the first wave of trends that have come out of this big social shift that is happening with the pandemic, you know, and obviously, you know, immunity is really important right now. But I think it's also interesting, you know, to think 3, 6, 9 months out, and how the trends we are seeing are going to evolve. And I do think that you know, the wide benefits we see in CBD. I mean, it was already very strong going into this. I think a lot of the benefits really resonate with what consumers are going to start to be looking for. And I think absolutely, you know, they're gonna be more selective, and they're probably going to be doing some more research than they had in the past. So, you know, certainly, I think something that a lot of people on the phone are dealing with it as well. And, you know, something we wanted to acknowledge as we kind of dive into the particular offerings today, and kind of how we see ourselves fitting in the bigger picture.
Couldn't agree more. You know, so when it comes to the CBD category, you know, we're heavily focused on research to inform our product development and innovation initiatives. So, you know, our internal consumer research division gathers, you know, not only, you know, secondary research and kind of works through our partners to get access to that research, but also primary research ourselves. So we're conducting surveys and focus groups constantly to understand, you know, what consumers are looking for and how we can really kind of have that crystal ball to see into the future. So what's happening right now? So first thing, consumers are looking for better formats. Anyone out there who has tried a CBD tincture, oil droppers are very awkward. They're also unsanitary, and we know how important that is and always was, and it's going to be more and more important going forward. And also consumers and new category users really don't know where to start. You know, they're looking at the landscape of products and they don't know what's right for them. They're really expensive, and that's a huge barrier to entry. And they're not even sure what it does. And that's, you know, why we kind of started off with, you know, how does it work, to understand what it's doing and why it works. But then how can we give consumers offerings that they actually want? And what is that offering going to look like? Another part of our product development process is, you know, as we gather our research, really being able to map out all of the different areas of focus that CBD addresses, and the different benefits and the different use cases for CBD. So everything you see here mapped out on this slide is defining the benefits of CBD and really splitting between psychological and physiological. As we know with the ECS, CBD has both physical and mental benefits. And then looking across a spectrum of acute issues that consumers might have all the way through to chronic. So something acute might be if you have, you know, an athletic injury or a headache. You know, I get those from staring at my computer all day long, all the way through to, you know, chronic issues where there's, you know, systemic pain or inflammation, anxiety and stress, where you're really looking for something to support you on a regular basis as part of your wellness routine. And there, of course, you know, at the heart of the kind of use cases here, we do see sleeplessness and issues around insomnia or just not getting good sleep. We all know that the quest to have better sleep is something that's universal, and not getting good sleep can be really damaging. And CBD addresses all of these and many more that aren't even listed here, but really being able to leverage our research and our understanding of consumers to inform what products we make and how they're going to be helping and solving problems for consumers here.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting to see this graph laid out in kind of more the scientific terms for how CBD might be studied. I think for me, what really jumps out is sleep, mood, and recovery, right? And kind of as we think about that evolution of trends, as things have shifted over the last few months. We think that we're really going to be pretty squarely centered around kind of plant-based solutions in those categories. So obviously really exciting, and it's definitely been interesting working with our R&D people and also the technical folks at OBX really to dive into the background, and what's causing those benefits to take place.
It's a great point, Dan. The plant-based healing and plant-based therapies is certainly something that drives our business every day. And so whether it's for something like sleep or something like chronic pain or inflammation, being able to have a solution that is not a pharmaceutical, that is natural, is something that has been really appealing. Finally here, looking at social data and analyzing social data to really spot those trends as they're coming. It's fascinating. 20% of conversations on CBD relate to drinks, but drinks are only 5% of the market. Huge opportunity there that, consumers are talking about it, they're looking for it, they're wanting it. Where are the products? And of those conversations around drinks, 72% of conversations on CBD drinks are about fitness. And they are looking for CBD beverages to enhance and complement their existing fitness wellness routines. They're looking for help in performance enhancing beverages to help with their athletic activities, something you can, put in your water bottle before you go into your yoga class or go for a run, as well as beverages you can have, after you've exercised to enhance your recovery time, relax your muscles and really let the work you've done sink in. So really seeing by studying the social trends and the conversations where the opportunities could be when it comes to CBD, and it definitely led us to drinks and to beverages and desired effects of those drinks and beverages. Here kind of outlining the three that have jumped out. Sleep is a large opportunity area. General relaxation, and then sports nutrition, including performance and post-workout recovery, an area of expertise on the Prinova side already with so many products they've brought to market, and really excited to be collaborating with them on some new products to market that speak to these needs here.
Yeah, I think we've all seen in the last 3 years how social media can catapult trends. Take collagen for an example, and not surprising to see the difference in what people are looking for and what's on the shelf. We know tinctures are an entry to market kind of end use form. It's the quickest and easiest way to get the product out into the market, dealing with an oil-based product. But what is going to be that trigger point that catapults a brand to become synonymous with CBD, to gain the kind of traction that we've seen that social media can do in the last couple of years. And I really think for the consumer level, it's not going to be a tincture, right? These are, you're going to have individuals that are going to be wanting to pose next to a can or a powder mix or something that's obviously a lot more in line with all the other products that people are using for functional benefits. So Yeah, I think for various reasons, right? We anticipate that shift, towards beverage, towards powder, and I think it's only going to help the trend in general. When we see, how folks react and how they look at their peers and how they're communicating about it. So. Yeah, so I wanted to touch on the big debut here of our trademarked offering between Prinova and OBX. Speaking of this, but first I wanted to just take a step back and talk about Prinova's entry into CBD in general. Definitely a offering that's been long in the making. The products we're about to talk about are over a year in development from R&D experts at both Prinova and OBX. One of the first things we looked at was raw material supply chain and safety and traceability, which is one of the main factors that led us to OBX. With their facility in North Carolina and the greenfield approach they took to building that facility about 18 months ago, everything to the nines, was a big factor. The GMP certification, another huge plus for us with how we're positioned, as a vitamin premix facility for infant formula brands, for instance. That was certainly important to us. And then the other thing that I mentioned earlier is taste, right? And performance, knowing that the shift to beverage and powder is going to be key to the evolution of this trend. We really wanted the most pure, best tasting raw material to use as we looked into our spray dry and emulsion process. And it's another thing that OBX delivers on. So that was a little bit of the background in our partnership and what led to the joint R&D effort in creating the products you're about to see. And with that, I wanted to talk a little bit about Hydrobond CBD. Sensory neutral is the high bar that we set for ourselves, and one that I'm proud to say that we have achieved. We are receiving overwhelming feedback on the taste, mainly that it's neutral and that you can go any direction, with the flavor, and then water soluble, obviously, from a performance standpoint, something that's key. So if we go to the next slide.
We've had customers calling us who've been also doing various R&D efforts for, 18 months or more, and, getting our samples and almost in speechless, saying, how did you do this? It has no taste. I don't understand. We've been trying for so long. So for those of you out there who have tried it, we're excited. Please always share your feedback. And if you haven't, we'll tell you how you can get your hands on some later on. So stay tuned.
I mean, it's certainly exciting for us, to be involved in the product development cycle for our customers, and they're seeing a lot of the same things that we're seeing, right? It's trying to push the envelope in the terms of the delivery system, trying to get into more consumer friendly market forms, and yeah, I think excited to talk about these two products today, because we do think that they could play a key role in formulations that are happening in various market forms. So on the left side of the screen there, you have Hydrobond Powder 20%. Actually, I can go ahead and give you guys a quick visual there. That is the powder. It's 20% CBD by weight, so guaranteed at that amount. No smell, basically taste neutral in solution, and then 100% dispersible. This product is going to go into solution, no issues. And then the other piece that we strove for in regards to this product is clean label. So we have one carrier, acacia gum, and that's really a result of our patent pending process, developed within our Prinova's Flavors division. A lot of hard work and technical expertise went into that process. that we're able to deliver this kind of product with no additional carriers, trying to keep that ingredient deck clean. And then on the right side of the screen, we've got our Hydrobond water-soluble liquid 5%. So this is an emulsion product, 5% CBD by weight, and we've incorporated an emulsion system. And you can see there the ingredient declaration that then comes with that product. This is 12 months shelf stable in terms of the raw material, and it is 100% soluble. So obviously a solution in the beverage category that we encourage our customers to dive into. And we'll talk a little bit more about kind of the processing on the next slides, but you know, again, I think a very succinct solution that's come out of the R&D effort here, but I think again, good potential to move the needle in terms of what consumers are experiencing in this category in general. So very excited, you know, to be launching this, well, just about four or 5 weeks ago, and excited to get on the phone here and talk into today's circumstances, and eager to get more feedback from everybody else. I'll actually go to the next slide and talk briefly about the processing. And I think, you know, mostly just wanted to help you guys get a visual here in terms of what this material looks like as it goes through the production process. And then also you see a photo there at the end. This is what the product looks like in solution. So on the left, you have a broad spectrum tea-free distillate from OBX. All the Hydrobond currently being produced is from broad spectrum, and obviously 100% from OBX, guaranteeing that traceability supply chain. Is 0.3% THC going in, so we guarantee even lower percentage point on the powder coming out. The first thing we actually do in our process for making the powder is we create an emulsion, and we do reduce the particle size during this process. And that creates a liquid product that we can then turn into a spray dried powder via a machine, or a similar machine in our Carroll Stream facility in Illinois. So you have a photo of the powder there, and you can see we get a slight amount of color, no odor and no taste in regards to the powder getting used in liquid. That's about 25 milligrams of CBD delivered in 12 ounces of water that you're looking at there. So that's the powder, is patent pending process. And then the emulsion is, you know, similar process minus the spray drying piece. Same starting raw material, but through a proprietary emulsion process to create, you know, the water soluble liquid option. You know, very similar in terms of the sensory experience once it's hydrated to the powder. Just has a, you know, additional long-term solubility benefits. You know, the powder, as you see, and I'm going to actually stir some up here at the end, it does go into solution, spoon, stir, stays in the solution. The emulsion is really obviously for that RTD application, you know, wherein you're looking for something to remain on shelf and in solution over a long period of time. So yeah, and then, you know, our manufacturing process also, you know, comes with the traceability back to the field, which is, you know, one of the reasons we chose to go to market in tandem, you know, with open book extracts, right? So, you know, you'll see us co-branded in the market. You'll see us joining on customer calls similar to like we are now, you know, basically with the end goal of, you know, giving the consumer, our customers, and ultimately the consumer, the ability to follow their product all the way back to the field that it was grown. So, yeah, and we touched on this a little bit, and just kind of our recommended starting points in terms of end use formats and which product. You know, obviously the powder for powder RTM, but also gummies. We're finding from a sensory standpoint. I'm sure most of us are aware The broad spectrum distillate will function in a gummy quite well as an oil-based product. But the feedback we're getting from customers is that oftentimes there's hemp notes at the end of the gummy that end up influencing their flavor choice. And what we're finding in the lab is you can do a strawberry gummy, you can do a lemon lime, or you can do a lightly flavored gummy. Because when you use this powder product, you don't have those sensory notes coming through at the end of your base product. So an interesting thing to consider just on sensory, not necessarily functionality. Powder products, it's pretty much to the point now where you can add 10 to 25 milligrams of CBD to any type of powder product and not have it be an issue in terms of sensory experience whatsoever. And the tinctures is another interesting avenue, not necessarily for functionality again, because the broad spectrum distillate will function. Not necessarily, maybe a little bit for taste, but also what we're seeing more feedback in the tincture area is, customers are asking for a product that has been through an emulsion, specifically to get a lower particle size on the CBD. Now, we don't have clinical data, and we wouldn't recommend any specific claims on something like bioavailability, certainly not at this stage in the game. But we are able to quantify the micron particle size of the product. We are able to then compare that to broad spectrum, for instance. And certainly there is kind of scientific background in general. As you increase the solubility of a product, you are also increasing the bioavailability, in the body. So we are seeing a lot of interest in the tincture space just because of that. Now, most of our customers are not in a position to make a claim on label either. However, anecdotally, I think there is an interest in a product that works, a product that consumers feel quickly, or a product that delivers a heavier punch at, say, 7 or 10 milligrams than its competitor. So that's kind of the background in regards to the tincture. And then obviously what we think eventually will be the belle of the ball when it comes to CBD, which is beverage, and overwhelming amount of interest in carbonated and hot fill, even something like flavored water with various color spectrums. So I think a ton of opportunity in the beverage space, and definitely the water-soluble liquid is what we'd recommend there.
Yeah, and one thing I'll add on the tincture side, since we've heard from a lot of the customers we're working with, there are consumers out there who will, take a tincture directly and put some drops, under their tongue. A lot of consumers are adding tinctures to their beverages, whether it's, adding a dropper to your morning coffee or to your juice or other things. And oil is not soluble. You put a dropper of tincture in your coffee, if anyone's tried that, it stays on the top, it doesn't go in. It's not the best way to consume that. But if you're doing a water-soluble liquid and you add just a few drops to your beverage, you're getting the benefits of having CBD in your beverage with a soluble product. So that is going into that beverage a lot easier. And I think, as Dan pointed out, the enthusiasm from consumers around these products is there. They're recognizing it. They're starting to look for it and ask for it in products that they want. And so this can really allow you to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to bringing products to market. And then on the powder side, we have a in-house R&D team down in North Carolina as well, who's also been formulating with the powder, especially with gummies. Absolutely the improved sensory experience, with a powder that has no taste. The sky's the limit with the flavors you can build and create. And you also do have a nice efficacy story there as well, of kind of the onset of the benefits you might feel a little bit sooner than a broad spectrum gummy, for example. And again, for everything here, we're going to talk about how to get your hands on stuff later, but we are happy to to share samples of some of our work with you that inspires you. So we'll talk about that at the end.
Sure. So I think we're actually nearing the end. So it is actually time to talk demos.
All right.
Yeah. So we have Prinova and OBX's application lab have joined forces here to provide a little demo kit for anybody that's interested in trying the product. So this is the CBD demo kit available next day for anyone that would like to try. You've got 4 different products, that are associated with this. So I'm going to go ahead and mix one up now so everybody can see, and then we'll actually throw the supplement facts up so you can kind of see what kind of direction our product development teams took in terms of building a product around a CBD powder. But this is actually the sleep version of basically the sleep SKU. So I'll go ahead and put this powder into the solution. I'm going to give it a quick stir. Okay, and obviously spoon stir is what we were targeting there. So you guys can see we go into solution. This is 25 milligrams of CBD, spoon stirred into 12 ounces of cold water. Okay, so as I mentioned, typically adding the CBD component to your formula from a consumer experience standpoint, shaker, cup, spoon, stir, from a solubility standpoint, it's not going to be an issue. From an odor standpoint, you're going to be able to start with a clean palate, and certainly from a taste standpoint, it's the same idea. Actually, Justin, can we throw the demo slides up, because I just wanted to go through a little bit of the formulation choices here. Whenever we launch a new product at Prinova, we like to just provide customers with some starting point ideas. Obviously, Prinova is a full-service product development house, and for this particular offering, we have the benefit of the expertise on OBX's side, both with the raw material and with their application scientists. So we have 4 products to quickly kind of show you, hopefully to kind of jumpstart the creative process for those folks that are formulating in the labs or formulating in their kitchen. We're happy to kind of throw these out there as starting points and get your feedback. So the first one is really straightforward. It's really a standalone CBD powder. 25 milligrams of CBD is 125 milligrams of powder. So, we put in some maltodextrin just for the consumer experience standpoint. We end up about 2.5 grams of powder, and just a really straightforward delivery system, and a great sensory experience. So probably something, shake up in the water bottle, or stir into some water or a glass of water and sip at home. The obvious simple choice. Next.
I told you there was going to be a siren. There was one.
There's usually a siren. Okay, and the next one is relaxation. So kind of the next 3 demos for CBD, we really just honed in on one particular CBD benefit and formulated around it. This obviously gives you, as a brand, and when you think about labeling and your regulatory department, a little more leeway to put things on your label, and while still leveraging CBD for the anecdotal consumer experience. So in our relaxation brand blend, we have tryptophan and tyrosine, ashwagandha, green tea leaf extract. You notice that melatonin is not present, so really targeting a plant-based solution for the primary functional ingredients. And we went up to 25 milligrams of CBD on this one. If we go to the next one. Taking this a step further towards sleep, I know consistently a top 5 trend that we see from our customers in the last 2 or 3 years is sleep. CBD, obviously a plant-based solution that consumers are really gravitating towards for this. So for this functional matrix around the CBD, we went with GABA, tryptophan, theanine, lemon balm extract, and again delivering 25 milligrams of CBD. And yeah, this is the one that I just stirred up, so you can see it in solution there. And then finally, an immunity blend. So we went a little lighter on the CBD for this one at 10 milligrams. Perhaps this is more of a morning drink. And then, built a pretty typical immunity matrix around it, very heavy on vitamin C and vitamin D. Zinc and magnesium are the big ones we're seeing. A little more of a citrus flavor system. Nicole's got that one there actually, so you can see that one in action.
Yeah, the color is lovely, but the taste is even better. This one is outstanding. Really nice. So
I think obviously, I think there is an opportunity to, certainly from our perspective, to kind of combine these two trends and leverage consumers' interest in both categories. And then another concept that's not represented in the demo kits would obviously be recovery and anti-inflammation. So seeing a lot of interest in combining CBD with whey protein, for instance. So that'd be another option. But yeah, that's the CBD demo kits that we wanted to show you. So if anyone would like these, we know a lot of folks are working remote. We have ample supplies for everybody's home office situation. So please reach out if you'd like a demo kit and if you'd like to try these products for yourself. Yeah, so I think we were going to open up to some Q&A. Nicole, did you have kind of any comments before we go into the question phase?
No, Dan, that was a really great technical background on Hydrobond. Cheers. Nicely done.
Yes, certainly. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much, Nicole and Dan. Such a detailed presentation. You guys did an awesome job. We have a lot of questions from the audience that have trickled in throughout the webinar. This first one, we'll start from Anne, and she asks, what are the points of differences between the CBD you're offering versus others? What type of stability data has been performed? And that's a question for the both of you.
So I can take that one. So I would say that the main point of differentiation would be sensory. It'd be the taste. Stability data, we have some preliminary data specifically on the raw material. Obviously we're selling CBD as an ingredient into the beverage space, and we would rely on our customers to do stability testing in regards to their specific formulas. However, we do have a lot of resources on staff at both Prinova and OBX that are experts not only in CBD, but Prinova's nutrient premix division, for instance. We have 5 formulators on staff, with probably by average 30 years experience each, that are very well versed in how to make ingredients function in various beverage environments. So I would say that we have a minimal amount of data that we can share with people on an individual basis, and that we would really encourage our customers to establish an open dialogue under NDA to talk about exactly what they're trying to achieve, the processing environments, the pH, and we'd certainly be more than willing to get our experts on the phone and help dive into that exercise on paper or even further down the road in the lab environment.
Thanks, Dan. So this question might be for Nicole. So this is a question from Alana, and she asks, what kind of doses are needed to elicit a health benefit? And I guess to frame it up a little bit better, you know, what's traditional for a CBD product in the market right now?
Great question. And you know, we at Open Book work very closely with our medical advisory board to help guide us as far as what is the recommended dose that we suggest starting with. You know, at Open Book, we stand by a kind of 20 milligram dose being like a really good place to start. Now, of course, like if you want to drop down even to something like a 10 milligram dose, like the Community Blend has, you can always go further than that. But I think this really ties back to what we talked about at the start with the endocannabinoid system, and you really want to find the dosage that's going to most appropriately have benefits for you. So the kind of recommendation around a 20 milligram dose, going up to 25 even, is within range. But our medical team definitely encourages starting off low and slow, building up and like learning how you feel when you have your beverage or other products, and taking it from there.
Awesome, thank you. And this next question was submitted before the webinar for both Nick and Dan, somebody representing, it's Andrew, and he's asking, do you see a path forward using CBD and national CPG products given the FDA's position of not allowing them in food?
I can start with that, and this is certainly something Dan and I talk about a lot with our teams. And the path forward from a regulatory environment is certainly still unclear. And if we had the crystal ball to know what that was going to be, we'd all want that. In lieu of that, our approach has been, one, we're listening to the consumers and to the market. And it's very clear that the consumer demand and the consumer need for these products, for plant-based solutions that are safe and that are effective, are what customers are wanting. And the kind of enthusiasm for those products is really going to outpace any regulations that are going to come in. And so how we approach it is we apply our own level of rigorous standards to all of the products we create. That starts with our raw ingredients and really establishing the strictest possible standards of excellence as far as our production, our testing, our safety, our stability, so that we can confidently stand behind those ingredients. We then select great partners to work with that are aligned to our values there, that are always going to stand behind their products and ingredients, and Prinova's reputation in the category is unparalleled for that, so that we can combine together to create an ingredient and to create a set of products that we fully are confident in their safety and their efficacy and their purity, so that if and when, and we do think it's a when, the regulations come into place, we will have already done the work that no one asked us to do, but we asked ourselves to do it, so that we could have the products that we believe in, that we think that the market and the consumers deserve.
Awesome. And this question is somebody who's already interested in samples. Gina was asking, what is the charge, if any, for samples?
Oh, yeah, no charge. You're fine.
That's right.
And Gina, we'll provide you with a big email after the webinar where you can kind of dive into this video recording again, the deck as well, and we'll also provide a link for you to submit some information for one of these demo kits. The next question is from Michael, who asks, how quickly does the 20% powder fully go into solution?
So I would say it's a 5 to 10 second spoon stir. And certainly I've been doing collagen for a while now, so I'm not afraid to dive into the details or how critical it is when we talk about that spoon stir. So yeah, I would describe it as a 5 to 10 second spoon stir in cold water.
Thank you. And this next question is from Megan. She asks, I'm curious whether any research is being done on terpenoids that may be in or with the CBD, or if this is strictly purified CBD.
Great technical question out there. I want to, yeah, please reach out. Let's chat. Anyone using terpenoids in their question, you definitely get a call. And I think this kind of goes back to the process that Dan, outlined quite nicely. We are starting with a broad spectrum product. So our broad spectrum distillate has the naturally occurring terpenes and flavonoids in the product. So that kind of leads into the downstream processing that occurs. So the product that we have here is inclusive of all of the kind of broad benefits that a broad spectrum offers. So that you would feel the effects of that or have the influence of that without any of the sensory, right? So like terpenes, we tend to have a aroma association with terpenes, right? There is no aroma, there is no taste, but the physical and the physiological benefits that you'll get from terpenes, which are well studied, are still part of this product.
Thank you, Nicole. And this next question comes from Charlotte, and she says, great presentation, thank you. Are there any issues with shipping across state lines? What about internationally?
So material in regards to the powder and the emulsified liquid materials available FOB Illinois. For the most part, we do count on our customers picking material up and figuring out logistics. That's actually the case kind of across all of our offerings. I would say we have a supply chain staff that's available to talk through any details. Certainly exporting the material, we would expect our customers to sort that out, and we'd be more than happy to provide any regulatory documents that might be needed.
On the open book side, we ship to all 50 states and internationally. We have existing Hydrobond customers in South Africa, Australia, the UK. We can definitely be flexible and work with you.
Awesome, thank you. The next question we have is from Janelle, and she asks, can the Hydrobond CBD powder be compressed into a tablet? It's a really good question.
That is a good question. So I would say we need to do a little bit more evaluation to determine that. We have worked with powder of similar consistency and actually put it through a fluid bed agglomeration process in order to make it directly compressible. So I would say if at first you don't find that successful, we would be interested in pursuing an alternative granulation size that might function like that.
Awesome. And then the next question, and we'll probably do 2 more questions, and any additional questions that we might not answer, we'll go ahead and shoot Nicole and Dan's email there at the end if you'd like to message them, but we'll try and address all of these messages as well in the follow-up. The question is about the extraction process for the extraction method to get our CBD. Nicole, what extraction method does OpenBook use?
OpenBook uses a cold ethanol extraction method. This is a method of extraction that is incredibly efficient and equally safe and used currently across many food and beverage categories already, like vanilla extracts and other things. And once we do our extraction through cold ethanol, we remove 100% of the solvent from the final product. So any of our distillates, raw ingredients, there is no solvent. We actually recycle and reuse 98% of our ethanol in our processing. So there's no risk there on the solvent side whatsoever in our product. And the rigorous audit from the Prinova team certainly affirmed that as well, and their team can speak to the products there as well.
Awesome. And we'll do one more question here at the top of the hour. Do you have any products that will be clear in beverages? This is a question from Anne.
So you end up with a little bit of cloudiness, and it just has to do with the nature of CBD in general. So we do get asked that a lot, but you know, I think, and we'll send this slide out. You do get a good visual. I mean, you see kind of the color choice from what Nicole's drinking, and you get a good visual in the follow up here that'll come just with the picture of all of our demo kit and solution. It is a hue that's very easy to color whatever you want. So I would say anything but clear is very doable, and for the most part, we see people picking a color, you know, in the majority of their products.
Awesome,
and
thank you.
I'll add to that for Anne's benefit too. You know, when you look both in the CBD category and outside of it, having a haziness to your beverage is a signal to a consumer that there's a functional ingredient in there doing some work for you. You know, I'm thinking about like the collagen beverages that I know, you know, Dan has worked on with his team at Prinova. So, you know, although we do hear that request, I think there is less resistance from a consumer side than you might expect for that also.
Thank you, Nicole. And to all of the attendees, thank you so much for coming out today. We really appreciate your time. I went and dropped Dan and Nicole's emails there in the bottom left-hand corner, but like I said, we will send out a email to you guys within the end of the week, this week, with all the details of a recording of this webinar, the deck, so that you can use it with your team, and an opportunity for you to request the demo kit, take a survey about what you learned at the webinar, all sorts of things for you to engage with. So thank you so much for attending today. And Dan and Nicole, thank you so much for your time and your awesome presentation.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you everyone for being here. This was great.
Appreciate it, everyone. Looking forward to working with you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye now.